Whoops.
Thanks for moving the button.
All right, let's go. The press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of the same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Would you take a second, turn off all electronic equipment, and stand for the flag salute? Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Becker.
Here.
Blumberg. Here. Stolby.
Here.
For this,
Sir, there's no sound coming out.
Testing.
We can't hear you.
Testing. Just move closer.
I said move the chairs up.
Jim, sometimes there's a button on the back of the speaker you have to turn on.
Oh.
Sometimes. There might be a button, an on button. Oh.
That's it. That's it.
can you hear me now?
How about that one?
No.
Testing.
Yes, now you can. Okay. How about that? First item for discussion, a green purchasing policy for the city. Tom, you want to address that, please?
Yes, this was passed along from the Green Team Sustainable Jersey through Rich Deeney to myself. It's a policy that's pretty active throughout the state. The state is pushing it. The goal is to encourage and increase the use of environmentally preferable products when we purchase them and services. That's a general. I know that either Rich, Brenda, or anybody else may have additional to add.
And that is on the agenda for...
There's a resolution on the agenda for adoption.
Cool. Thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Yes.
I did ask Monica from Sustainable Margate, Monica Coffey, a Margate resident, to come tonight, and being that she's here, maybe she can say a few words, and maybe you can ask her any questions you have.
Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I'd just like to thank the city for taking the
Yes, that one's on. In case anyone didn't realize, we're having communication problems today.
Okay, we'll try again. My name is Monica Coffey, 16 North Fredericksburg Avenue. I just would like to thank the city for taking the initiative to pass this resolution. As I understand from Rich, there is already purchasing of recycled products going on, but this just formalizes the city's commitment to sustainability, and it's a pretty painless way to, show your commitment to recycling and the environment.
Go ahead.
That's pretty much it.
All right,
So,
thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay. Next item for discussion, the possible appointment of attorney or attorneys for our shore protection issue. Mr. Abbott, Mr. Deeney.
Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, Mr. Deeney and I were tasked with contacting several lawyers whose names had been suggested by, I believe, Commissioner Blumberg and yourself, Mayor Becker, which we have done. Neil Yoskin is a noted environmental attorney, has been very successful in litigation against the DEP, most notably that case in Avalon with the various aspects of public access and mandatory bathrooms. It was in the newspaper a few years ago. We contacted him. He's very interested. We also contacted Mr. Goldshore, Louis Goldshore, who had indicated he had spoken maybe 6 or 8 months ago to a group here in Margate with regard to possible avenues of resistance to the shore protection program as proposed by New Jersey. He also was very interested. Both gentlemen sent in proposals. What you have now is the ability to hire one or both. We have suggested a cap of $5,000 for each of them. I have forwarded them the documents that I have previously forwarded to you. And what is your pleasure on this matter?
Any comments? Rich, do you have anything?
No, I spoke as well as the solicitor to each of them. They've submitted their proposals in writing. They're both interested. They're both asked a lot of questions. They were happy to receive the documents that we had already received from the state Attorney General and otherwise. And I recommend that you go with both of them. Let's see what avenues that they can suggest that we pursue. They're both qualified. The costs are reasonable. We'll see what they provide in writing, and if need be, we can call them back for further explanation.
There are two resolutions on the regular public meeting, one each to hire each of the two. So, any comments? Any more discussion?
I just want to say that I spoke with Rich on this, Mike, and I agree with him. I think it's the first step and the right step, or a foot forward into showing our support for the 65% of the people that voted against this project, and to get these second opinions, I think, is well worth the cost. So I'm going to support the two.
Okay.
And thanks, Rich and Scott, for the preliminary investigation.
Any comment? Okay, let's start with department reports. Mr. Wahlberg, please.
Okay, the ongoing construction projects, our road program, Argyle Avenue between Monmouth and Fremont is scheduled to be paved tomorrow. Contractor has been working on the punch list items on Essex Avenue as well as any of the other streets which they occurred. The 2013 road program is bid openings are scheduled for June 25th at 11 a.m. and that includes Benson Avenue from Atlantic to the beach, Douglas Avenue from Ventnor to Atlantic, Exeter Avenue from Atlantic to the beach, Granville from Atlantic to the beach, Mansfield from Atlantic to the beach, and Marshall from Douglas to Minnie Creek. If you notice, there's quite a few beach blocks on that. We have experienced a lot of problems with our utilities on the beach blocks as a result of the hurricane. So we're dealing with them as we can. The municipal building emergency generator, the plans will be completed tomorrow for that project. We're looking at 2 generators. There is an outstanding grant, that's a hazard mitigation grant that's being administered through the county for $85,000 towards one of those generators. I am trying to get a status on what the award timeline is, because I don't want to go to bid and jeopardize that money if they will not give it to us without approval. I'm going to send the plans to the county so that they have them, and I'm hoping that they can let me know, because we do need to get those generators bid and awarded and put in place in the event of a hurricane or any other major weather event. There's a resolution, I believe, on the agenda tonight to apply for I forget the exact term, it's a DOT grant. What we're looking to do with that is try to fund some additional streetscape on Ventnor Avenue with that. The contracts for Phase 1 of the repairs to the heating system at this building have been sent to the contractor. So as soon as we get those back, we'll schedule a pre-con meeting. It's essential we get that work done now during the cooling season as opposed to the heating season. That includes a lot of the steam valve actuators, chimneys, sump pumps. It's essentially to get the humidity issue in this building under control during the heating season. During the summer season, the air conditioning generally takes care of that. We need to get the heating done. The emergency work that's going on under the building right now should be complete within a day, if not two, for the ventilation fans. We had several ventilation fans under there. They slowly have deteriorated, so we felt it was essential to get them in. 3 new fans, all the required electrical, so that should be completed hopefully tomorrow, if not Monday. We do have several blocks of streetscape already designed, ready to go to bid. I've been in contact with Jim Rotella because if you recall, there was a grant that we received for $300 and some thousand towards that. Again, I don't want to go to bid until the grant agency gives me the go-ahead to go to bid. I think that's pretty much what's active at this point. We did receive an email from one of the engineers from FEMA regarding the Washington Avenue building and what they refer to as the change of the project. We submitted everything they requested back on May 26th, May 25th, I believe it was, and we're waiting for them to give us the approval. The plans, the mechanical, the electrical, and site plan will be done on the 25th. I'm meeting with the architect at the building just to go through some more stuff. She should also be done by the 25th. As soon as we have our plans together, we'll have our meeting, and when FEMA gives us the go-ahead, then we can go to bid. We're cautiously optimistic in that we're going to get quite a bit of reimbursement from FEMA, which would be wonderful. And I believe that's it.
All right, thank you, Ed. Frank?
There's a lot of work that has been going on at the pavilion.
Has requested we speak up.
Okay. There's a lot of work that has been going on at the pavilion. We've put new railing up. If you haven't seen it, it looks great. We're going to put new fencing around the shuffleboard courts and the bocce courts. We had the shuffleboard courts painted. We've been fixing the bricks in the walkways. The new floor was put on inside. And I believe this, before the end of this year, we're going to try to get a schedule together because there's some other extensive work that has to be done, especially the exterior of the building. We want to see get painted next year, and there's some eaves that are on the building that are starting to rot out, and we have a plan on how to take those eaves off because they're just for show and use an AZAC type of material that is weather resistant. We are getting ready for beach stock this week. We hope there's good weather next weekend. We have a very busy week. I believe we're all ready for it, and we will start working Thursday, setting things up. On July 1st, at Lucy the Elephant, the Teen Will, it's an organization that raises money for childhood cancer, will be coming into town. It's a cross-country bike ride with at least a dozen bikers, and they're actually going to come to Lucy the Elephant at 11 o'clock on July 1st, and then go right to the Atlantic Ocean to raise money for these kids. We finally got our rigid dumpster for the rigid plastic, so if anybody has any big bulky plastic, just bring it to our yard. We will recycle it. And this week, we're going to start purchasing some flowers so we can start planting them along the Parkway section of Ventnor Avenue, and we're pretty much catching up on all our landscaping. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Frank. Chief Tabasco.
Thank you. Fire department is starting to pick up with more call volume as the summer is upon us. We also are prepared for our role in beach stock, Mayor, and we're ready to go there. And for a few other events this summer, 4th of July and our firefighter night at the library for the kids. On the beach patrol side, just another note that this Saturday, the 21st, We opened 3 more beaches for a total of 9. All 12 beaches are scheduled to be open on Saturday, the 28th, which is the day of beach stock. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Tony, very much.
Thank you.
Lisa?
Good afternoon. On today's agenda, you'll see there's another resolution for a Chapter 159 adjustment to insert the Clean Communities Grant. We received the money after our budget was adopted, so that is why it's necessary to do this resolution. It's for the amount of $26,915.74, of which will not have an overall impact on our budget because we anticipate the revenue with the offsetting appropriation. Yesterday's monthly JIF meeting, they accepted the 2013 audit for the Atlanta County Municipal JIF, and I'm happy to report there were no comments or recommendations by the auditor. The fund is has a good cash position, and they have a surplus of approximately $21 million. So everything is running smoothly as far as that's concerned. I emailed each of the commissioners my monthly finance update, but I just want to mention a few of the highlights. We currently have approximately $7.3 million cash on hand, of which $5,197,071 is in our general operating fund. We are in need of funding our capital fund, which is why when our bond anticipation notes of $4,085,000 come due next month, we will be rolling them over, as well as issuing additional funds for that. And tomorrow I'm going to complete my analysis to see approximately how much we will need to fund the currently authorized capital projects over the next year. The interest rates are still good. The rate that we have currently on that note, it's a 1% coupon, and when you factor in the premium, the net interest rate was 0.712%. I met with bond counsel and our financial advisor the other day, so they are ready to go as soon as they get all the information from me. We will be issuing another official statement with our updated information for the city, which will assist in getting us a better rate on those institutions that bid on the notes. In addition to that, total receipts as of May 31st for our general fund are $27,274,429. Total disbursements out of the general fund were $29,003,036. So far this year, we have FEMA proceeds regarding the Hurricane Sandy of $871,274. And in total, we've received approximately $2.2 million being reimbursed via FEMA, the Joint Insurance Fund, and also our flood insurance. So I'm still anticipating more, and as Ed referred to the project ongoing approval, that's going to be factored in, and we're estimating at least another $1 million from FEMA for that. Our budget so far is in good shape. We've utilized 57% of our current budget, and what else I have? And that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Chief Wolfson.
Firstly, tonight on the regular meeting agenda, you'll see Resolution 141 that's asking for your approval on the seasonal employee handbook, which was compiled by Steve Barsh, which consists of a lot of municipal officials, and I'm hoping you'll approve that. That's going to be in preparation for the orientation training. It's going to take place on Wednesday the 25th of all seasonal employees. Secondly, I'm happy to report the radio project for the city, which includes the PD consoles, is about 90% complete. Chief DeBasso and I had a meeting with the company this morning, and they're moving ahead. We're pretty happy with the work they've done so far. There's a couple little odds and ends that need to be finished up, so that's moving along. I've received a written request via email from a resident of 9600 who is getting married on August 23rd and is requesting to utilize the back lot for parking. She's going to hire a shuttle bus. The reception's at 9600, and I'm seeking your approval to allow her to do that. You park back here, and they'll shuttle the guests to 9600 because there's no place to put that. So with your approval, I will go ahead and respond to her, if it's okay with you.
You're okay with it, Chief?
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
I'm fine. Marty?
Nothing for me, I'm good.
Thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Deeney?
I'll bring it.
If I were in the audience and heard that we had spent 57% and it's June 25th, I might have been concerned. But there are a lot of one-time costs that go into the first part of the year, and that's why we're still in good shape, but we spent 57%.
It's not just what's been paid, it's what has been charged.
Encumbered.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Ed Berger, who everybody knows, who's a local resident, does work for a lot of people in Margate, president of the Business Association, but in this capacity, he's going to give us a brief update on our new website for which he's coordinating.
Thanks, Rich. And thanks to all the department heads who over the course of the last couple of months have helped coordinate funneling the information to enhance the new website. I'm very pleased to report to you today that at this point the new City of Margate website is about 92% completed. And that over the course of the next week or so, between now and probably Monday, each and every one of you will receive an email from me with a direct link to the individual pages that each one of you is responsible for, so you can give it one last proof, one last look before we go ahead and give it the approval. Our goal is to have the site live before 4th of July weekend. And even if we don't have the full editing and training done by that time, we feel very confident that the enhanced information that's in the new website will be leaps and bounds beyond what's currently available on the current site. So thank you very much, all of you, for helping and being cooperative and trying to move what was a tremendous amount of information from one site to another, looking at your individual pages, trying to look at it from both the citizens and business standpoints to try and figure out what would better enhance it, make it a better resource for people that are looking at our city. I can promise you that the new site has a robust search engine, that it has a tremendous amount more information in it, that information is certainly much more accessible, and besides all that, it's really, really pretty. So thanks very much, and you'll all be hearing from me over the course of the next week.
Ed, would you just enhance as it relates to, even though we go on July 1st, approximately, by August 1st or September 1st or October 1st, it's going to continue to look different because it's a dynamic site. It's not like, okay, we've bought this thing and now we have to live with it for the next 5 years.
Right. One of the most attractive parts of contracting with Virtual Towns and Schools, which is the company that we're working with, the web designer we're working with, that specializes only in municipal sites and has over 500 of them up around the country, is that it is a dynamic site. Each one of the individual departments will have one individual that is trained in upgrading and updating their individual pages. Also, as part of the contract, we have 24/7 continued support, so should we decide to make any recommendations or changes in the site during the course of the upcoming year or years, it is flexible enough and it's high-tech enough for us to be able to make those changes. The new City of Margate site is going to truly be a state-of-the-art platform, and it will be able to grow as the city grows and adapt and accommodate anything that we need it to do.
First in New Jersey.
And by the way, we are the first people in the state of New Jersey who will be using this company and will be using this platform. So they're very excited about having us. Super. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Rich, do you have anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Scott?
A couple things, Mayor. As you know, the city's been requested to authorize the owners of Blue Water Marina to go forward on a dredging project of that marina area. There is a permit pending. Ed Wahlberg has reviewed this. You'll recall that there was a discussion, concerns raised about trucks traveling over the city of Margate roads. I think Ed took a good look at that, I believe, and I'll let you speak for yourself, but the conclusion was what?
Yeah, we requested information from their engineer, and I may have reported on this previously, but essentially, there will be 2 to 4 trucks an hour, a total of 200 trucks over the amount of time that it takes to do the project. The trucks will weigh approximately 75,000 pounds. That's actually a little bit less than a fully loaded trash truck. So there should be no negative impact. We also, Pat Powers had the sanitary sewer lines televised in that area on specific streets that we figure we can let them run the trucks down. They appear to have no problems either. So in the interest of keeping a business, viable in town, I see no reason why we shouldn't endorse this. And the reason we have to endorse it is they will be dredging a portion of their marina, which is actually our street end. And because we're property owner there, we have to endorse the application. What we will do is prior to construction, we'll sit down with the chief, myself, Frank, and we'll map out several routes, and they will have to adhere to those routes as well as giving us proof of the actual dewatering so that we don't have sloppy sand dripping out of the trucks as they leave. But with those constraints, there's no reason why this shouldn't be done.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that you actually need a resolution to authorize it. I do believe it would be appropriate for the mayor on behalf of the city to sign it. There's a spot on the form application, so it would be whatever your pleasure is. Mr. Hildner, maybe you have a suggestion? You think you should have a resolution, not? It's a DEP permit.
I'll defer to you.
Okay, I don't think we have to go to a resolution, just we have it on the public record. They're going to have safeguards approved by Frank and Ed, our city engineer and our public works director, and I think if you authorize it, the three of you, if you feel it's appropriate, we let them go ahead and dredge it.
I'm good.
Good by me.
Dovetails perfectly into my next topic. We had a meeting today at Coastal Coalition. You may have seen it where the mayor of Avalon, Marty Alugi, and freeholder, I think they're called freeholders from Cape May County, came up, Marie Hayes, specifically about dredging issues. And what the Cape May communities are trying to do is use the Coastal Coalition to try to push the state to get some dredging accomplished. And they've asked for the Atlantic County communities to also participate and perhaps to have 2 members from the communities affected by the lack of dredging, and really terrible condition of what our waterways are in. Mayor Pelleggi made some very interesting points. His background is engineering. He's been mayor of Avalon for many, many years. And he said that Avalon has undergone this struggle for 15 years to try to get to the point where, just like Margate, they have a bunch of lagoons. We all can acknowledge our lagoons are in very bad shape, as is our marina district. Avalon has spent $3.5 million to come up with, I'll use the old-fashioned expression, dredge spoil site, where they constructed what has to be a temporary road so they can dewater their dredge material and pull it out. What they want to do is have our county board of freeholders and our communities also participate. In his opinion, this is a golden opportunity for places like Margate, because recently the DEP has transferred dredging authority over to the Department of Transportation, and the Department of Transportation is much more willing to have dredging occur. There's been very little done in our back bays in maybe the last 30 or 40 years. So with that, Representative of Ocean City was there too, Roger McClernand, who'd worked for the city. They recently got a $2.6 million grant to assist dredging in their back bay areas. Or at least that's how I understood it. It was 2.6 from the state. They have to add another 1.3 million. So there is some positive movement going forward. Margate has to make the determination that if it wants to jump on board of that train, which certainly I would like to see you do that, and see if we want to get involved and try to push and work with the state and feds and whoever else it is to get our back bays dredged as well.
That's all I have.
Okay. And I personally think we should get involved. I think anything we can do to push the dredging issue along would be helpful. It's been, what, at least 10 years here, so.
Just to remind everyone, we have an approved project, at least from the construction people at DEP, and funded to do some of our lagoons. So the money is there, they have the design done, we just need to get involved with a way to get rid of the spoils.
I saw John Amadeo last night, and I think he said that $847 or thereabout $1,000 has been set aside.
That sounds right.
Yeah, the whole issue is what to do with the dredge material. And, for instance, the fellow who's doing Blue Water Marina told me they've gone up from what was $4 a cubic foot to $12.50 a cubic foot to take dewatered dredge material to a gravel pit in Cape May County to get rid of it. Now, what the state is looking at, and Palugi urged us to try to jump on board with this, is the utilization of either the wetlands, which the Army Corps is pushing, to have dredge material sprayed over wetlands to help the wetlands obtain a higher height and nourishment from bay material. Sounds interesting, but remember, we have thousands of acres of wetlands. That would be one way to distribute it. The other way would be to fill in a cut behind the island that's directly across from Captain Andy's. That area is no longer really passable for boats. It was made in 1940, man-made canal, in effect, or waterway. And the concept would be to take dredge material and put it in that waterway, which you really can't get through at mid-tide, let alone low tide, and then re-grass that wetland. It would be a lot cheaper than trucking it 25 miles to someplace. But this is stuff that takes a push. You have to really try to put together a game plan and push it. So we'll be hearing a lot more about this.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Tom?
Just a couple of things. We have a resolution to reject bids for the tractor bids that we took a couple months ago. The apparent low bidders did not meet the specifications. Frank and I have done some research through a purchasing agents conference we attended about national co-ops, which are recognized by the state, and Frank with Bobby Gilmore are zeroing in on a tractor that meets our needs, cost less than what we had bid, and might just work perfectly for us. So that was that. The other item is you'll see the renewal of the annual liquor licenses. We have 18 licenses total, 15 of which are operating actively and are all being renewed tonight. The other 3, which are known as pocket licenses, are not being used, and for one reason or another, whether it's a tax clearance certificate or sometimes they require a special ruling, those 3 are not being renewed tonight for one reason or the other, but the 15 operating licenses are all in compliance. That's all I have.
Thank you. Roger?
Mayor, there's an additional item that we'd like to get on tonight's agenda. 2 weeks ago we discussed reducing the size of signs for developers from 32 to 16 square feet and allowing only 1 on corner lots, and some other minor changes to signs. Mr. Abbott and I have had conversations and email correspondence on it. The matter has been furthered to a point where I feel confident it could be put on the agenda tonight for introduction with, I don't know who has to authorize that. Can that be added, Tom?
If they're okay with it, Scott, we are further along on it.
I'm certainly okay with it. I see what it is. It's to try to reduce the clutter of development signs that we see, that we hear a lot of complaints about, and I think these probably are well needed, and I certainly have no problem. Let's move forward on it tonight.
Would you add that to the agenda, Tom?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's important to do that. I've received numerous complaints about the size. It seems like they're getting bigger and bigger.
Okay. In general, the volume of activity is quite high, as I've been saying for a long time now. Right now, we have 51 homes under construction throughout the city. They're coming in at a very fast pace. Based on some of this activity, I decided within the last few days that I have to tweak an interpretation of the zoning ordinance with regard to the calculation of front setback. Since 2004, when the master plan was passed, there was an averaging procedure set up for front setbacks where you would, for example, look at, if it was a porch, look at the porches within 200 feet up and down the block, get rid of the high and the low, and then strike the average, and that's where you could place your porch. And the idea was that it would make your front comparable to the others on the block. It's come to pass that every now and then, or recently, we've had a couple of situations where there were not enough porches, for example. The ordinance also says when you don't have, after you strike the high and the low, it's the average or 5 feet, whichever is greater. When you don't have two porches, you get rid of, when you have only two porches, one's the high and one's the low, and then by default, the porch that you can build is only 5 feet back from the front property line, which does not reflect, in general, the profile of the block. So today, I issued an interim reinterpretation, which I sent to Mr. Galantino, Mr. Abbott, and so forth, wherein if there are fewer than 3 comparables on the block, you don't strike the high and the low, you just use them all, or use the 1 or you use the 2, and that would conform the fronts more closely to what's on the block. I feel that I could do this as the zoning officer. I do interpretations all the time. This is an alteration of the way I've been interpreting it. I will promulgate that to the contractors and architects and so forth around town. I also think that the new interpretation probably should be codified and become part of the zoning ordinance itself. So I will plan to introduce this to the planning board next week on the 26th, and then they'll send up a recommendation, a resolution of recommendation to the commissioners, and you could introduce it the week after, and we can proceed to change the ordinance formally, but it's in effect immediately, if that's okay with.
Fine with me, as you know. You okay with that? Maureen, you all right with that?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Roger?
No, that's it.
Jim?
As you know, a lot of construction sites are going on right now. We're going to monitor them to make sure they're kept clean and orderly, get the trash, the dumpsters out of here before the weekend, especially beach block properties. Also, we'll keep the sidewalks clear and porta potties off the sidewalks and try to get just a general appearance decent so people can get to and from the beach. We noticed that there are a lot of construction sites have been totally a disaster. If you guys see one out there, let me know. Give me a call. We're trying to check them all, but if you see one that's in really bad shape, just call my office. Thank you.
Hey, Jim, last couple weeks ago, we had a conversation with a couple contractors about putting something around construction sites other than a poorly looking wooden stockade fence, like a silk fence. Is there any thoughts on requiring that, or do we have that, or what can we do, because it looks pretty bad with those wooden fences?
It's in the ordinance about plywood barriers, but we can, Roger and I can revisit it and decide a better barrier. That's all I have.
Why don't you look at that then, and come back with a, you know.
Looks a lot better.
Okay. Sure. Thank you, Jim. Maureen?
Nothing. The only thing I just wanted to say is, because we don't meet again until after July, just a little FYI, effective July 1st, cell phone, if you receive a ticket for a cell phone, it'll be a mandatory court appearance. So just be aware of that. The legislation was enacted last year to take effect a year, so July 1st. It's third offense can be 3 points, and you can lose your license up to 90 days. But the fine starts at $200 to $400 on a first offense. So just a little FYI.
Cool. Rosie? Thank you. Brenda?
I passed out to everybody on our team the stormwater management. We have a stormwater management forum coming up Thursday, July 17th. Our green team's been working very hard on this, and Steve Giesecke and Monica Coffey helped put together this flyer. So there's one up here for everybody. What's really exciting about this forum is that all the coastal communities from Brigantine to Longport are participating. So it should be a pretty dynamic forum. The speakers are wonderful. Kenneth Miller is a climate expert, sea level expert, went to MIT. Lisa R. Miller's with the Jacques Cousteau Research Center. She's going to be talking about planning for resilience. Dr. Abrupta, Chris Abrupta with Rutgers, he's going to talk about implementing resilient activities. So it's really for elected officials and for anybody that influences or is involved in planning with your municipality. And also our green team met with the Cross County Connection. There's actually an organization that helps municipalities encourage children to walk to school instead of drive and take buses. So we're meeting with, the chief is going to meet with Dr. Michelle Carney-Ray and Cross County Connection and our green team. We're all going to meet with her on July 23rd, and hopefully we'll have a plan in place for next year. But there's a flyer up here for anybody who's interested. And speaking of schools, we've probably have all read about Ocean City being a sending district, or Longport being a sending district to Ocean City. And I think we should explore the possibility of Margate becoming a sending district too. The cost to educate, I think if my numbers are right, is in Ocean City it's $15,000 versus $24,000 for Atlantic City. I know we can't put a price tag on education, but if it's the same level of education, I think we should at least look into the possibility of that. And that's all.
Thank you. Maury?
Yes, thanks, Mike. I direct attention to Resolution 131, which is the appointment of Jim Monahan as tax assessor. And in that regard, we're doing that because we are congratulating Andy Bednarik on over 25 years of service. He has decided to retire. For any of you that know Andy, I know Mike knows him well, and Rich and Tom, he is a gentleman's gentleman, dedicated beyond reproach, and a true professional. So I just want to wish him the very best in his retirement, thank him for the many, many years of great service to Margate. That job is a very important job. He has also done a really good job in helping Jim learn his way around Margate over the past 6 odd months, I think. So I just wanted to offer that up. If you happen to see Andy, wish him the best of luck and thank him for the dedication. And thanks to Rich and Tom for making the transition to Jim a little bit easier. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And I agree. I've known Andy Bednarik for a lot of years. He's done a great job. And I have gotten to know Jim Mangum in the last 6 months that he's been here. Andy leaves us in good hands. I think Jim will be fine. And congratulations to Andy and to Jim. And at that point, we will open to public comment. 3 minutes for anything that was discussed here today.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, what would that savings be using Ocean City as our receiving high school per year, per annum, based upon the current numbers? Any idea, Mayor?
Per pupil, John?
We know the per pupil, but we're asking for the total savings currently based upon the June 11 numbers issued by the school board. What would that yearly savings be, Mayor?
Well, if it's, what did you say that? Atlantic City is, 25?
We'd save $9,000.
9,000 a student. How many students go to Atlantic City?
Well, that's the question, Mayor. And what would the savings be?
$9,000 a student.
Yes, and how many students do we have?
I have no idea, John.
Well, that doesn't surprise me in the least,
I know
Mayor.
that, John.
Let me elucidate for just a moment or two, bring you up to speed.
Did you say hallucinate, John?
Hallucinate, yes. Hallucinate would be the more appropriate word.
Okay. Please continue.
Okay. We have 110 presently, Mayor. What does that work out in U.S. currency as a savings to taxpayers?
$99,000.
$990,000 each and every year. And that would be over the course of a 4-year high school education, a $4 million savings to taxpayers. So I strongly urge you, and you know, they don't even require a city administrator to seek these savings. They perhaps use Georgie Miller and the Tribushin guy as attorneys to do this perhaps on a pro bono basis. I don't know exactly. But I would like to say that we should begin to explore these savings. Any idea what the savings would be to send K-3 to Ventnor per year, Mayor?
I'm sure you're going to tell me though, John.
I am going to tell you, Mayor, so listen up real close.
I am.
It's $3 to $6 million because we're spending close to $30,000 per pupil per year. And Ventnor can do the same excellent job at 10 to 15. So if they charge us 15, we save $3 million, they pick up $3 million. Sounds like a good deal to me, Mayor. And it's a good deal more the taxpayers' burden that could be lifted. So I strongly urge you to proceed down these lines as the next election grows nearer and nearer. People are going to become more and more skeptical of your generosity with taxpayer dollars.
15 seconds, John.
Okay, Mayor. I think I'll sum it up following up Commissioner Blumberg's remarks concerning the new tax assessor. I hope you're not grandfathering in the $26,000 medical package again.
Thank you.
What's the story on that, yes or no, Mayor?
Your time is up, John.
I know, but the question was asked, and you have a duty to answer it.
I would imagine that Mr. Mangum is getting benefits.
He's not a full-time employee, Mayor, just like Commissioner Blumberg.
Would I be correct, Lisa?
I'm sorry?
The new tax assessor, is he or is he not receiving benefits?
He is receiving.
Yes, because he works more than the required numbers of hours. Am I correct? Yes. Okay.
How many hours
Thank you, John.
how many hours is the tax assessor actually working per week?
It fluctuates.
32, average of 32.
All right, thank you very much, City Clerk.
Anyone else?
Sorry, I have to follow that. And my name is Stanley Pearson. I live on Thurlow Avenue. I was here a month ago. I made my same comment that the vendors are putting their merchandise on the sidewalks, and it's becoming very difficult to walk. Some of them are using both sides of the cement of the walkway, and I don't know anything about the rules and regulations, but I'm sure it's a fire code violation. And I just like you said the last time that the Merchants Association president was supposed to police it, and I said that we would police the Merchants Association. No one has done anything yet.
I have spoken to the president of the NBA, as I told you, Stan, and I have just today spoken to Mr. Galantino of Code Enforcement, and he says he will watch that this weekend and make sure that everybody adheres to the agreement. Okay?
And
That's all I appreciate it.
And I will get you a copy of that, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
in defense of the Margate Business Association, I think we were all copied on an email that went out to the Margate Business Association from Ed Berger, the president, reminding them of what the the rules and the regulations were for the sidewalk sale. But if they heed it, that's another thing, but he did make an
A
attempt.
sidewalk sale shouldn't be every day of the year. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Dan Gottlieb, 407 North Nassau. I just have a procedural question and then a comment. There's a resolution, is it correct to say there's a resolution that will be voted on at the 5 o'clock, after the 5 o'clock meeting, about whether or not the city's going to hire 2 attorneys to render a legal opinion on the Attorney General's opinion? Is that going to happen in the 5?
It is on the agenda.
Get that procedural question clear up. My mic? Your mic is I didn't touch anything, so I don't know why. Can I have the stopwatch turned off there?
It's off, Dan. The good news is it's off. The bad news is your time's up. You mean to tell me it isn't? A $40 million outfit can't get a damn microphone? Excuse me.
Thank you. Okay, so I got the procedural question out of the way. I guess the comment and the question is, since we're going to find anyway, would you object to my asking, and I think we got some sense from the mayor and from Commissioner Blumberg, how they feel about this resolution. Commissioner Tawby, do you mind if I ask you how you feel about that resolution, we're going to find out anyway shortly?
I'm going to vote shortly, so you'll have to wait for my vote.
Oh, okay. Okay. I guess we'll find out soon enough. I know it's not safe to assume anything. It's something I learned early on in my business career. But there was some comment about hiring attorneys, and I hope we're not opening the barn door after the horse got out. I missed the last meeting, but it was brought to my attention that an appraisal company is or has been in Margate to begin the process of getting the easements. So the project is in process as far as the state is concerned, and it's moving forward. I guess if before the 2 attorneys can render an opinion, assuming that the 3 of you, or 2 out of 3 of you agree to hire this attorney, which I suspect you will, if you were faced to sign a state aid project agreement before you could get the opinion of these 1 or 2 attorneys, if you were brought a state aid project agreement and were asked to join the project today, without having that opinion from the other outside attorneys, would you, and I'd like to ask each of you this individually, starting with you, Mayor Becker, would you sign a state aid agreement to join the project right now, or would you refuse to sign that?
I will Dan, if you remember, I had a meeting in maybe 6 months ago with Commissioner Martin, which time I told Commissioner that I will never sign a contract. I will never commit the people of Margate to any future financial obligation. That has not changed.
Okay, but a future financial obligation is something that Mr. Deeney said in his letter would not exist, and we all know from what Mr. Reel said when he was in here a month and a half ago, that practically speaking, we believe that we would need that financial commitment. So if the wording excludes financial commitment from Margate, would you still go ahead and sign a state aid project agreement?
I am not signing a state aid project, period. I've said that.
Okay. Commissioner Blumberg?
I concur with the mayor. I don't believe that the project that they're trying to sell us, we should in any way, shape, or form buy into. And as a matter of fact, I just, I used to feel that, hey, maybe we could use the sand that they want to give us and raise our bulkheads if we could come to that agreement, that maybe that's something that the people would accept. But I can tell you, the more I think about it, and the more I go to the beach, and I was there yesterday at low tide, the beach is bigger now than it's ever been. I couldn't imagine it being any bigger and me having to walk to the water at my age. So I think we have more beach now than we've ever had. As a matter of fact, I know we have. And in that regard, there are so many flaws, in my opinion, with the project that's presented, that we'd be out of our minds to sign up to it, and further out of our minds to let them come in here, especially the way they're trying to come in. I think it's underhanded, and it's way too aggressive for my liking.
Commissioner Tallby, I guess the same question, then I'll sit down. If you were faced with...
I can't answer your question because I think, honestly, I think it's moot. I think the executive order, the issue is not whether or not any one of us would sign anything. The issue is whether or not our referendum supersedes the governor's executive order. So I think where we are now, the city is, we're going to get opinions from two attorneys to find out whether we have a shot at not participating. And I won't answer your question.
So I can answer that for you. What Brenda has said is that she has given up on democracy. There is no such thing in this land anymore as democracy. If you have a dictator, you have to accept his will. And in that regard, I think it's really, really very sad.
Well, my closing comment is this. I'm not a commissioner and I'm not the mayor, obviously. But if I were, I would refuse to sign a state aid project agreement as a last resort if, in fact, a legal opinion didn't come back or came back and said, you have no fight here, you have no argument. I would refuse, and I think that's the stance that the three of you need to take. And Brenda, I'd like you to reconsider your position on that. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Dan, I want you to understand, go ahead, sit down, we'll talk. Or you can come over to the hardware store, we'll talk. Whatever. City Hall. I think it's, the issue is not whether we're going to sign a contract. The issue is whether the state is going to come in here and do the dunes without a contract by force. They don't need us to sign, according to their position, they don't need us to sign a contract, that they can take it under whatever. I don't think it's the governor's executive order. I think Title 12 will be the deciding thing. And I think these attorneys' opinions will help us with that. But they've never asked us. I think Commissioner Martin said from day one, if I'm not correct, that, okay, you're not going to sign a contract. He said that. I mean, we've been down to everything here, Dan. I've asked them to do replenishment without dunes. We've asked them to do whatever, go away. They're moving ahead. You're absolutely correct in that they've had people here appraising property, but everything works real slow, Dan. When at my last at the Longport meeting, which was 3-4 months ago, they said that the PPA would be signed in a month. The PPA is the project partnership agreement between the DEP and the Corps of Engineers. Well, as of 2 days ago, the DEP has signed it, and the Corps of Engineers had not. And I'm just giving you an example of how slow these things work. So I don't have a time frame. I've made my position very clear, and now I hope we have time, and I think we will have time to get opinions from these two attorneys, and then we'll make a judgment and we'll move on from there. Okay?
Stand up. Tell them where you live.
My name is Frank Biswanger. I'm at 112 South Iroquois. Mr. Mayor, the question I have is what do we have in writing? When I say we, because it's, I'm 78 and 87 or 68 or whatever it is, and I've lived here all my life as far as the Summers are concerned. So 86 years is a long time. And I have an interest, I owe somebody something to stand up and say that, what do we have in writing from the city of Margate that says to DEP and the state and all the rest of them legally? What do we say? Do we say we're not going to do it? Is there anything in writing? All these meetings, are there anything in writing, Scott?
Is there, Scott?
Scott, are there anything in meetings? You're the attorney for the city. Do we have anything in writing from you or from whomever that says we're not going to do it?
Don't we have a resolution, right?
I mean, this is 65% of the people in this town.
I
And it would seem to me that somebody would stand up and say no.
We did pass it. We sent the resolution to the...
In writing.
In writing.
There's a resolution from the governing body, but remember, the vote was, was a non-binding referendum on signing the agreement. The concession that Commissioner Martin made to Mayor Becker when he went to Trenton to meet with them was, we do not have to sign the agreement. We are not bound to a 40 or 50-year contract with them. So that's really a moot point. I mean, I don't know where you guys are going with that one. The city doesn't have to sign the agreement, one. Two.
That's not the question, Scott. Scott, listen to me for a minute.
I'll answer you now.
No, you listen to me for a minute. For it change,
you answer for me.
Because you're the attorney, okay? When have you ever gone to a meeting in your lifetime as an attorney for whomever and not finished the meeting and turned around and write a document that says, thank you for the meeting. I just want to know, I just want to acknowledge the fact that we are not going to do the following. It would seem to me that at this late stage, that's a crime. That's a real crime as far as 65% of the people in this town are concerned. Excuse me?
We've sent them the resolution and a letter from the mayor. I don't know what else we could do.
No, does the mayor say we're not going to do it? That's all I'm asking, Scott.
Guys, Scott, because I asked you, and you got me all the documentation, and I have to agree with Mr. B here in that I don't feel personally that the commission has done a good job in letting these folks know that we are not interested in their project. There's no letter that I read that after the letter that we got from the commissioner that says, thanks for your letter, thanks for your meeting, we're not playing in this game. We'll play a game, but we're not going to play in this game. And there's nothing that we've done as a commission in the last 2 or even 3 months that suggests that, in my opinion. And I would like to see a letter like that. I hope that, if we don't write it now, we'll write it after we get the opinions from the attorneys. But I think that right now, especially since they're in our town and haven't even asked us if they can come into our town, that we should pen a letter tomorrow and say, you know what? You're in our town, we're not happy you're in our town, and we're not interested in playing the game that you guys want to play at this time. I think it's a good idea, I really do.
Thank you, Frank.
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. Quick diversion. Mr. Rubin, you were talking about porches and steps. Are you talking about steps that come like right out to the sidewalk by any chance?
I wasn't talking about steps.
Oh, okay, I missed that part. Just porches.
Yes, yeah.
But the issue that someone can now, because of Sandy and the elevation, can build their steps all the way out right to the sidewalk?
Yeah,
do we have to live with that?
We made that change after Sandy because houses were higher, and we will be reviewing that when we do our master plan sometime in the next year. and our new zoning ordinance, but that's got to be part of a master plan overall
Okay.
study.
As a resident next to a house that built their steps literally right to the sidewalk, I would like to suggest that when that process happens, there are houses that also have steps, but because they go to the side, they don't actually go right to the sidewalk. And I can see a lot of reasons why that is not good to have them go to the sidewalk. So could you make a note to put that in your
I will.
tickler file for the master plan?
I will, and there will be public hearings for the master plan.
Great, I love public hearings, transparency, and public opportunity to speak. The other thing also I want to speak to you about is the development signs, the developer signs, and the size, and you're looking into those. I'm assuming there's ordinances, I know there's ordinances on the size of signs. Does that go for business signs as well, or is that just for development signs on someone's property?
Yeah, there are ordinances for business signs.
Okay, and issues with size of signs and
Sizes,
illuminated signs? and-
illumination,
Great,
numbers of
because I'm going to
signs.
be requesting some of that information for the future.
Sure.
As far as the dunes, here's the situation as it exists in reality. The letter that Commissioner Blumberg was talking about, was asked before by him and by our citizens group, and it wasn't done. Second of all, the date of the state attorney, or general attorney's letter that says we can do this no matter what you say was when? February, March? That's exactly when there should have been a letter. We should have been in discussions. Do we agree with this legally or not? How can this happen? At that point, we should have started looking for attorneys. Thirdly, there's never been any indication from the mayor that he is not going to let this happen unless he absolutely has no alternative. And now that we're looking at attorneys and assuming that we vote to go forward, I absolutely think there should be a letter to the DEP saying that we don't necessarily agree with everybody else got to speak, so
15
don't even
seconds.
try to cut me off.
15
The general attorney said we can do this, we are hiring attorneys, and we want you to be aware of the fact. Just maybe, if they know we're going out for legal opinions, and we shouldn't even wait till we get them back, but when we get them back too, just maybe they would sit down and talk to us. But you haven't given them any indication that you're going to stand up to this. And this should have been done months ago, and absolutely should be done now. Thank you.
On this subject, I have a question for Scott whenever, about this. Do you want me to wait?
Yeah, we'll wait. Let's wait.
Okay.
You don't mind. Any other? I think I want to respond first, Ed. Do you mind? I'm Bruce. Sit down, Ed. We're standing. I just like to remind everybody that for 4 months, maybe more, I'm the one that's been asking for names of attorneys from the other, right? We never, not from you people, from the commission, right? We finally got it. As soon as we got the names, we went out and got it. Sit down, Sharon.
You have an obligation as the attorney. Why didn't you do it? You're looking for Maury to do it? You're looking for Abbott to do it? He has a conflict of interest. You should have done it. You're the mayor. Now.
Okay.
She's the guy who whatever she said, she got to get
Okay. Now, number 2, your other comment is incorrect. Actually, I spoke day before yesterday to the DEP, and they were talking, and they are aware that we are seeking legal advice, okay? And not in writing. I spoke on telephone, okay? So, I don't really want to hear that, okay? Thank you. Anybody else? Ed, sorry.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Chief. Thank you to the other chief, Mr. Deeney, commissioners. and everyone else who's involved in celebrating our beaches in a week and a half. Just want to remind everybody, this is the last meeting before Beach Stock, a time to join together and celebrate our beaches. And also, I wanted to extend an invitation to our commissioners to kick off the event at 9:30, as we always do. It promises, again, to be a beautiful day. I can predict the weather at least a week and a half in advance. We do it every year. We invite everybody to come out and join us in a really wonderful day in our city, a beautiful illustration of how business and government can work together and create something that is memorable in a positive vein. Thank you.
And for those of you who have never been to Beach Stock, please take an hour, 2 hours, and it's really a fun event. It's a great event for the city of Margate, and thank you for that, Ed. Any other public comment?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. I have a couple of things I want to deal with. First of all, Frank, I have a question for you. With regards to that, the bicycling across the country and what have you, how can one give a donation for this kid that has cancer?
I'm not exactly sure, but they do have these cards they're going to be handing out at the event, so you can make a donation.
Okay, thank you, because I know several people that want to donate. All right, thank you.
Steve, you can call Joy at the Recreation Department, and she'll be able to help you with that.
Okay.
And we have some brochures out in the hallway on the table, I think, too.
I saw the brochures, and it really doesn't indicate how to do it. All right, thank you. And the second thing is, with regards to the dunes, you know, this is so divided, the community. It's unfortunate, and I just hope that we can come together and get past all this, get past the acrimony or whatever, and all come together as a community and enjoy the beach for this summer and next summer and for the next 100 years. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Dalby?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
May I ask...
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted to talk.
Regarding the Resolution 134 and 135 tonight, appointing the attorneys for an opinion on the shore protection project, I see that it says not to exceed $5,000 for each award. Did they give us a time that they need to get back to us with a decision? Because it can't take them 6 months if the shore protection, if the team is already in Margate.
They understood that it was to be very soon, and they have the information. All of the correspondence has been going back and forth, the resolutions, the research, the appellate court decision. Goldshore has been in contact with the anti-shore protection group, so he's well acquainted with it. Yaskin also is following it very closely, so they were both very familiar. They know we need it very quickly.
So, like 30 days, we would have an opinion?
Yes, I would think 30 days. We'll specify that with them. We need it within 30 days.
Okay.
I don't see it as a problem.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Tom, do we have a motion on the floor?
I don't think we have one yet.
A motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Dalby?
Yes.
We will take a very short break and begin again.